Okay, so when this fic is over, compare Princess Celestia directly to Metro Man from Megamind, and compare those two. You'll understand at the end. Okay, so this is part 1 of Princess Celestia Hates Tea. Tea, Highness, said the tottery dun-colored unicorn mare, offering up one of the innumerable royal kettles for my approval. Of course, Miss Cozy, I said, plucking up my beautiful antique china cup from my beautiful antique mahogany tea table in a swirl of beautiful antique unicorn magic. Unless my beautiful antique nostrils deceive me, this morning's selection would be a solid domestic orange Picot, yes? But of course, Highness, said Miss Cozy. I know how you favor it. And just so your Highness knows, we're going to have a wonderful jasmine ready for your meeting with the young Miss Sparkle, newly back from Hind. The little filly does love her flowers, doesn't she? Yes, she does, I agreed, smiling pleasantly at the royalty stewardess. She and I and jasmine tea go back many years. It's always nice to have little rituals and traditions between friends, I say, said Miss Cozy, whimsically, laying a hoof alongside her snout for a moment. At any rate, after that I expect you'll be wanting tea with tea, so we'll have a nice simple oolong to go with the traditional watercress sandwiches. Then there'll be Earl Grey for your tea-to-tea with Princess Luna. And if you'll forgive an old mare for why can't I say this? Editorializing, the bergamot essence in the current tin is particularly fragrant. Glad to hear it, I said. You do such an excellent job with Earl Grey, Miss Cozy. She beamed at me, blushing a little. Your Highness flatters. Nothing so base, I said. Merely an accurate assessment of your prodigious skills. Thanky kindly, Highness, said Miss Cozy with a little curtsy. Thanky? Okay, then. Oh, and we've got something a little special cooked up for bedtime. Oh, I said. Miss Cozy nodded. Peppermint, she exclaimed. I perked up. Peppermint what? Peppermint tea, of course, said Miss Cozy. Oh, I said, settling back into my cushion. Well, that all sounds positively delightful. I know, doesn't it? Said Miss Cozy, and then, listen to me jabber on while there's tea that needs pouring. Scoot your cup over here, Highness. I did so, and with a gout of fragrant white steam, she filled my cup to the brim. I levitated it back over to my sitting cushion, inclined my head downward at a delicate angle, and took a deep sighing breath of the aroma. Ah, I said, heavenly, Miss Cozy. Again with the flattery, Highness, said Miss Cozy, backing respectfully away from me, whilst taking hold of the tea-trolley's handle in a flicker of deep brown magic. Now, you just ring for me if you're in need of another cup. You hear me, Highness? I might just take you up on that, I called, laughing musically. There are just some times when I can't stop at one. At your honoured disposal, as ever, Highness, said Miss Cozy, easing the tea-trolley out of the salon doors. I nodded and smiled to her, my expression held aloft in a mask of beautiful poise, until I could hear the latch click in the door and Miss Cozy's receding hoof-steps down the length of the hall. My face fell. I magicked my beautiful antique china cup over to a beautiful antique fern, specifically selected for this purpose, and dumped the horrid ichor into the patient and forgiving soil beneath it, watching it glisten for a moment and then vanish into the earth. I so barking hate tea, I said, staring down at the dirt. And that's the story of how my friends and I diffused an incipient international crisis and brokered a solid peace between the dear folk of Hind and the sky kingdom of griffins, said my faithful student, taking a contented sip of her jasmine tea. She said, closing her eyes in bliss and letting the steam wash over her. Excellent as always, Princess Celestia. I employ the best, I said, smiling, including, it seems, in the field of negotiation. I am most pleased with the wonderful news from abroad, Twilight. I would like similar reports from each of the members of your diplomatic mission, if that's not too much trouble.
My friends are right downstairs, Princess. Field reports in hooves. We learned so much about both friendship and complex multinational treaty negotiation, and we're dying to share it all with you. She grinned at me, wide and white, and then took another sip of jasmine tea. I responded in kind, sipping at my own cup, and, as always, commanding myself in the sternest possible terms not to retch at the taste of the stuff. Some days it was all I could do to resist the temptation to delve into the time spells, go back to the Donna pony, and find the blackguard who came up with the idea of boiling leaves and drinking it, and give him or her a good solid cuff. I suppose there's the odd chance that when I returned to the present I would find that pony civilization had crumbled, and that the world now groaned under some sort of oppressive diamond dog regime. But it might be worth the risk. "Oh," Twilight continued, heedless of my inner monologue, "and we learned a whole bunch of other lessons, too. Rarity would like to talk to you about something called Bollywood. Pinky is planning on preparing a graphically detailed report on why a pony should never eat too much cauliflower vindaloo in one sitting, and Rainbow Dash would like to petition you for an annual festival where ponies fly diamond-studded kites around in some sort of epic slash every pony else's kite war, just like they do over there, which is a plan that can only end well." "I cannot foresee any problems with that," I said, nodding. "And there's something else here," she said mischievously, her horn flaring again as she rustled around in the diplomatic pouch resting lightly on her brisket. "I brought you a little surprise from Hind. Try and guess what it is." "Is it tea?" I said, my eyes glinting and my mouth fixed tight in a gently amused princess-like rictus. "It's tea!" Twilight exclaimed, producing a small tin and holding it aloft. "Boy, you'll never believe the stuff they let you carry across borders in a diplomatic pouch. No customs or anything. And best yet, it's all perfectly legal." She pulled the tin back over to her and read the words stamped onto the metal. "Superfine grade first flush Darjeeling." "Darjeeling," she read. "Often called the champagne of teas. This light-bodied tea possesses an enticing floral aroma combined with muscata-like spiciness. Perfect with breakfast, a light snack, or any time you just want to relax." She beamed at me. "I tell you, Princess, no pony knows tea like the Hindi. I had so much tea while I was over there, you wouldn't even believe." "Sounds delightful," I said. "I can't wait to try it." "Hey, I know," she said. "No time like the present, right? Let's get Miss Cozy up here and have her brew us a cup, if you don't mind opening your present right away." "Oh, I don't know. I'm rather enjoying the jasmine now," I said, delicately inclining the royal muzzle toward my student as I lied to her brazenly without shame. Twilight blinked. My faithful student is quick, eager, and perceptive, and furthermore pays altogether too much attention to me. An asset during lesson time, to be certain, but when one is trying to pull wool over her eyes, not so much. I could have sworn that I let nothing of mine slip. But, to my dismay, I saw her face fall a little at my words. "Is something the matter?" asked Twilight, her voice laced with an undercurrent of omnipresent neurotic dread. "Do you not like Darjeeling?" "I enjoy all tea, of course," I said, digging my nigh infinitely deep hole a fraction of an inch deeper. "I am pleased and touched by your gift, my faithful student." "You already got a lot of Darjeeling?" she said. I once had an entire wardrobe full of Darjeeling, I thought, stuffed absolutely to the gills. But then last week I got in a mood and runically sealed it and carried it to the hazardous magical waste depository in the dead of night, and was done with it. "No," I therefore answered, in complete honesty. "Then what's the matter? Please, Princess, tell me." She did the eyes thing then. Father, in Ephesus, preserve me from the eyes thing. I thought, anchoring my soul against the gale force of the wind of adorable, ingenious pleading being emitted by my student. I remembered little Philly Twilight turning those eyes on me many a time, repeatedly reducing the most powerful creature in all of Equestria to marmalade. I am powerless against them. So be it. "Twilight Sparkle," I said, lowering my head conspiratorially, my voice dancing with a wholly engineered tone of secret glee. "I'm going to tell you something that I've never told any pony else in the entire world. Would you like to hear it?"
Twilight's face was like my beloved son.
"Yes," she nearly cried, and I could see the wellspring of joy in her heart. Joy that I would entrust little Twilight Sparkle with one of the hidden secrets of Equestria. "Of course, Princess!" I hung my best, most polished smile on my face. "I really actually don't like tea." A sheen of ice instantly coated the surface of Twilight's sun, and I winced at my patent miscalculation. Twilight's face did not move, not even a smidgen, but the light in her eyes was instantly snuffed and buried in loose clay in her psychological backyard. I felt a trapdoor open in my gut, and attempted to fill the newly exposed pit with words. "It's a funny story, actually," I said, trying desperately to convince her of this fact. "Several thousand years ago, Princess Luna was stuck on an idea for a birthday present to give to me. Consumables are always good for a mare of my age, of course. We've still got a team of royal archaeologists excavating one of my long-forgotten bric-a-brac vaults and discovering new interesting strata of decorative candle holders, if you'll recall. Well, Luna somehow got into her head that I was a tea drinker, and so she bought me this beautiful gold-leaf porcelain tea service, complete with a lovely assortment of teas, and I was very touched by the gift, even though I actually can't stand the stuff. But I couldn't very well say that to her face. You know, almost as well as how delicate she can be. I think it's I know how delicate she can be, because that's just... So I would occasionally brew a cup when she was watching and pretend to enjoy it, and it did make her quite happy. It wasn't too long after that we hosted a Quilinese envoy and his Retuni on a matter of trade, and you know how fond the half-dragon unicorns are of their tea. Half-dragon unicorns? That sounds epic. So I had the idea that I would hire a really top-flight tea stewardess. Incidentally, Miss Cozy's great to the nth power grandam, and I had her brew us all a cuppa. Every pony seemed to enjoy him or herself, and then I thought the matter closed. A month later, the first crates began arriving from Quillen, gifts of gratitude for my excellent handling of the trade negotiations, and then the cheerful letters wishing me health and a long life, and imploring me to please enjoy the gifts of tea. And it would have been something of a faux pas to scorn it entirely, wouldn't it? So I made up my mind that I would get over my silly distaste for the stuff and begin drinking it near constantly in an attempt to build up tolerance. After a time of that, tea and I became more or less indistinguishable in the minds of my people. Soon my entire court was of full-grown stallions and mares who had never known the princess to be without her tea. It became a symbol of sorts, and maybe it was foolish of me, but once it had reached that point, I felt that to abandon it would create cracks across the public's perception of me as an unchanging bastion of light in the dark currents of time. I wandered over to the small balcony of the Rosewood Salon and stared down at the happy bustle of Canterlot City, watching for the little ponies and their pony carts trot back and forth along the streets like toy models. "For all my thousands of years of drinking it, however," I said, "I cannot become accustomed to it. It makes me sick to my stomach, literally at times. It is my least favorite beverage in all of history, even more so than that unsugared juniper beer gut rot that was something of a fad in the early 700s. I'm sorry if this comes to you as something of a shock, but I just thought that of all the beautiful souvenirs you could have purchased with the money you spent on the Darjeeling, and well, I felt a bit guilty. So will you please excuse this old mare, her little white lie, my faithful student?" I turned back to where Twilight had been sitting, and she was gone. I sighed. "That could have gone better," I said. There came a bustle from the arched doorway of the Rosewood Salon, and a Pegasus Guard Sergeant, Hoplite by name, came into view. "Ah, Sergeant Hoplite," I said, smiling at him, "did you by any chance catch a glimpse of a distressed purple unicorn fleeing these chambers a moment or so ago?" And that was all I had the time to say before I was pinned to the floor in a dramatic flying tackle. My eyes went wide, thoughts of treachery and assassination plots spinning before the eye of my mind. so it came as something of a surprise at me when Hoplite pulled off his helmet and snorted a single word into my face.
"Impostor!"
he shouted. "Oh, dear." "Sergeant Hoplite," I said calmly, "my wing muscles alone have the capacity to bend tempered steel, so I assure you this. This is a matter of politeness alone, but could you please remove yourself from my royal person?"
"I take no orders from false usurpers," snarled Hoplite. "The element of magic is onto your deceit, trickster, and she is warning the royal guard as we speak."
"Hoplite," I said, thunking my head against the hard stone floor of the Rosewood Stallion, and wishing that the overzealous guard stallion had the decency to tackle me a few meters to the right, where there was a rather nice plush bit of carpeting. "Your commitment to duty is commendable, as was your father's, as was his father's before him, and I have personally known and decorated 10 generations of your family serving in the same post, and I can tell you, with levels of uncomfortable detail, exactly what rather embarrassing part of your great-great-great-grandsire's anatomy was injured to earn him his Purple Heart. So, might you, pretty princess, please, release me?"
"Your words flow off me like water, changeling queen."
"Oh, so that's what this is about," I said. "Sergeant Hoplite, I assure you that—"
"You will assure me of nothing," bellowed Hoplite. "The court doubted the suspicions of Twilight Sparkle once before, during the royal wedding coup, and it was nearly the reunion of Canterlot. The guard will not be so dishonored by you again, wretched beast."
Another bustle at the archway revealed Shining Armor, my faithful student's elder brother, and the captain of my royal guard. "Thank heaven," I said, trying to scoot the royal backside across the floor so that I could get a better angle of a conversation with him. "Shining Armor, would you please call off your commendably zealous stallions at arms, and then go find your sister? I believe she may be about to do something rather rash." Shining Armor stood at full attention, seethingly quietly at me.
"You," he said.
Oh, dear."
"You," spat Shining Armor, marching up to me. "You abducted my beloved Cadence and left her to die in a cold gemstone mine deep in the bowels of Canterlot Mountain. And then you had the, unmitigated gall to impersonate her and stand next to me at the altar. I will hear none of your entreaties." With a deep scowl and a flash of magenta-hued light, Shining Armor plucked Hoplite off me, and then surrounded me in a durable shell of pure aetheric force. "Listen, Shining Armor," I said, my eyes glancing around at the perfect sphere of sparkling rose-hued energy he had summoned. "It's rather funny, but this really is nothing more than a catastrophic misunderstanding." "Save your breath, changeling," said Shining Armor. "Your lips move, but I hear nothing. I've established a one-way sound barrier in the field that imprisons you, so any further lies from your throat will go unheard."
I dismissed Shining Armor's force field with a thought. There are certain perks to being the most skilled living manipulatrix of the stream, after all. "Listen, Shining Armor," I said again. Shining Armor instantly re-established the containment field with a noise that sounded like the word poink. I dismissed it once more. "Shining Armor, please, poink, dismiss. If you would please just hear me, poink, dismiss. There's something very important I need, poink, dismiss. For the love of my father in Iofis, Shining Armor—" "There she is!" cried Twilight Sparkle, bolting in the now crowded Rosewood Salon Stallion, a phalanx of 5 friends at her flank, and the tourmaline diadem of both friendship and magic gleaming at her forehead like a beacon. "That's the changeling who supplanted Princess Celestia." "Oh!" squealed Pinkie Pie. "She really got her down super-duper well."
"Yes, except she forgot one thing," said Twilight, grinning in triumph. "She doesn't like tea."
"Astonishing," murmured Rarity.
"Yeah, what a dumb cluck," remarked
Rainbow Dash, hovering a few feet above the melee.
"Every pony knows that Princess Celestia sucks down tea like there's no tomorrow." "So what are we gonna do, y'all?" inquired Applejack, she of honesty.
"Easy," said Twilight.
"We blast her. Formation, girls."
Said Fluttershy, raising a single demure hoof. "I was wondering if, maybe we should make absolutely sure that we're right before—"
"No time for that, Fluttershy,"
said Twilight. "We need to burn the corruption out as fast and equinely as possible." "I'm sure you're right," said Fluttershy, hanging her head. No, see?" I said, my eyes going a bit wide. "Listen to your friend, Twilight." "Listen, fake Celestia," said Twilight. "Fluttershy is one of my best friends, but every pony knows she folds like an origami box." "I like origami boxes," admitted Fluttershy. "See?" said Twilight, apparently vindicated in her own mind. "Every pony form up behind me. The rest of you, stand back. BBBFF, please throw up a shield to protect innocent bystanders and the rest of the castle from damage." "On it, Twily," said Shining Armor, saluting her with a rakish grin. "Seriously, my little ponies," I said, "if you'll just hear me out." There was a hair-flattening surge of spectral energy as the elements of harmony bloomed to life. Even my own corn mane was thrown completely askew. Rainbow light began spinning around the forms of the bearers of the elements as surges of raw harmonic power lifted them into the air behind their twilight-shaped focal point. "Okay," I said, sweating a little. "Really, not kidding here. I assure you, my forbearance in this matter is largely due to my being rather fond of the decor in this room and not wanting it all torched, hence..." The chromatic wave of the elements of harmony finished its charge cycle and lanced at me like a bright hornet made of friendship. "Ow!" I said crossly. "That really sort of stings, you know." Well, I am well aware of what it feels like to be struck by the full force of the elements of harmony, sister," came a smooth voice from the archway. "It's happened to me twice, if you'll recall your preparatory research." "Lulu," I said, trying to keep the tremble out of my voice, "could you please firmly instruct my faithful student to—" "No more lies!" bellowed Luna, knocking over everything in the room that had not been firmly nailed in place, and even some things that had. "My sister loved the tea I gave her." My sister loved the tea I gave her. My sister loved the tea I gave her. Okay. My sister loved the key. Damn it. My sister loved the tea I gave her. She told me so again and again. Your deceit is a pathetic one, Chrysalis. "It didn't work," cried Twilight, meanwhile in tones of dismay, shaking the tourmaline diadem up and down and then looking back at her companions. "Are we not friends enough or something? Should we maybe sing a song? Share some secrets?" "Blast her again!" cried Rainbow Dash. "Good plan, R.D., agreed Twilight. "All right, Celestia. Prepare to receive a double shot of undiluted weapons. Grade, love, and tolerance." "Twilight, please, is there anything I could say right now that would make you—" Again with the rainbow light. "Ah!" I cried. Yes, all right. I'm sort of tasting metal in the back of my throat now. Could we please come to a halt on this?" "No!" shrieked Rarity, who really seemed to be getting into the smiting aspect of things. "Destroy her! Hit her again!" "I don't think it's working, Rarity," said Twilight. "Luna, how do you set these things on Banished to the Moon again? Is there some sort of toggle switch on the back, or—" "No, it's a little more complicated than that," said Luna, grabbing the tourmaline diadem from Twilight's hooves. "It's a matter of lunar attunement. Just hold on a mo—" "Fine," I said, my eyes going wide at the one combination in this room that could really do me some damage. "Yes, I do so, Love Tea. Good." "Too late, Pretender Queen," declared Luna, giving the diadem back to Twilight. "Fire at will, Twilight Sparkle." "Right," said Twilight, standing head high and proud. "Formation again." Once again the elements of harmony blossomed with light, and my, thought a tiny and dispassionate particle of my mind, how quickly things do get out of hoof. I gazed up at that which very well could do me, and to add insult to injury, for the stupidest conceivable reason. I took a deep breath, gathering the full potential of the stream around my beautiful antique form like a May Day ribbon, and then focused it through my alicorn, letting it thunder up and down its length. My alicorn? That's interesting. That's saying as though, like, her actual body isn't really her, and that's just, oh yeah, I have this body here, like, oh yeah, that's my car, but it's not me, even though I drive it, you know. My eyes flared momentarily, becoming windows onto the deepest heart of the blazing hot sphere, which was both my charge and my destiny. I rose into the air, phoenix-like, my crescent aura utterly obliterating every solid object in the rosewood salon that was not shielded by its attachment to the sole force of a living being. Woodwork, and then the stone beneath it burst into flames, falling to curls of blackened ash and magma around our shoulders. The very walls of Canterlot buckled to its power, leaving our little mass of ponies perched unsteadily on a wind-swept ledge of a mansory, clinging to the edge of the high cityward gallery. I let out my breath in a thundering royal Canterlot-tech relation. "Hear me now!" I bellowed. "I am Celestia, the undimmed, princess of the solar orb. The blood of this land burns bright in my veins, and brave ponies weep in agony at my glory. Tens of thousands of generations have crumbled to dust in my wake, and tens of thousands of generations more will follow before I am spent. All this power is at my command, and yet I have but one thing to declare to you this day." The sun above flared from yellow to dazzling blue-white. "I do not like tea!" Silence fell over the former room, and over Canterlot City in general, as the sun dimmed to its rather more traditional color. Twilight Sparkle, her mane now ruffled by high outdoor wind, looked up at her brother. "Gosh, Shiny," she said. "Good job protecting the castle." "Yeah, kinda messed up there," said Shining Armor, scratching the back of his neck with one hoof. "Almost as bad as some pony running up and down the Hall of Dawn yelling, 'Help! Help! Princess Celestia has been replaced by an evil duplicate.'" "Pardon me, but the word I used was doppelganger," said Twilight. "However, I take your point." I ignored the bickering siblings. My energy briefly spent, I strode over to the edge of the destruction and gazed out at Canterlot City. Eddies from the turbulent stream whipping my ethereal mane back and forth as it struggled to return to laminar throw. The city was utterly still, not a cart moved in the streets, and upon me I could feel the trepid looks of hundreds of thousands of eyes, hundreds of thousands of frozen, unblinking stares. "Oh dear," I said. "It's now 1 o'clock in the morning, and Beat Hazard is the awesomest game ever. And remember, Metro Man from Megamind. Megamind is the awesomest movie ever. You know, I just watched it again today, and I remember seeing it the first time, and I don't remember thinking, but it's a lot constructed like actually a pony fic, 'cause like it's perfectly intricate. It's like the Titanic, except it's not a tragedy, because everything is just completely intricate, and everything causes everything, and if it didn't happen exactly the way it did, it would have been a completely different story. And it's just really cool. Anyways, yeah, Metro Man, and stuff. And Fops gave me Beat Hazard, and it's the best game ever. Well, sort of. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, I'm rewatching. So I had to completely reread this whole part 1, because last time it was terrible. I'm gonna go watch season 1, episode 16 of My Little Pony now, because I'm rewatching the whole series over the summer because they're not having any new episodes. Okay, bye-bye.